All right, so it's time. It's time to start talking about Bernie Sanders' Elizabeth Warren ticket. For a long time, I've been saying that it was not time. So the reason for that was because we had no idea who was going to be on top and who was not. And right now, we still don't know for sure. And so I want to be fair and respectful to everybody. I'm just saying the time has begun for a conversation about that. And so now it appears that Bernie Sanders has taken a little bit of a bigger lead in terms of Sanders and Warren, what I've always considered to be the two most progressive candidates by a lot. But one of the reasons to start talking about this is because I don't want people to take their eye off the ball here. Joe Biden still has a significant national lead. So Trump had a significant national lead all the way up to Iowa. People kept ignoring it and ignoring it as if it wasn't real or it was going to go away. And I said at the time, no, it's real and it's not going to go away. Now, Biden's is a little different because he's softer in Iowa and New Hampshire, so likely he'll lose momentum coming out of those first two states. And he's a mess, whereas Trump was tapping into some real populist vein in the Republican Party, and so that was something that was real and significant. Biden is just hanging on with name recognition, so it's definitely a different phenomenon, but we would ignore it at our peril. So eyes on the prize in terms of getting progressives a victory here, which leads me to point number two. Some are saying, no, there's a more ideal VP candidate for Bernie Sanders. There might be. Look, I was the first to mention Nina Turner as a possibility a long time ago, years ago. Now a lot of people like that idea. Great. I love it that people like that idea. I was also arguably the first to ever mention Bernie Sanders as having a real chance of winning the presidency back in 2013. So I'm proud of that, and I love that. And obviously, I fully back Bernie Sanders. But I think that this is a really funny thing to say, but no progressive should be overconfident at this point. To the point where they think, oh, no, we've got this thing won, so who we pick as VP to help the campaign is not important. No, it's immensely important. And by the way, you could think Nino or any other progressive would be more helpful, and I think that's not an interesting case to make. I think it's a logical case to make. I think that there's nothing wrong with that argument. And so I support all of that. But at the same time, I want you to understand that if Bernie has, now these are super duper rough at this point, has like 21 points nationally and Warren has 14, 15 nationally. First of all, that's still too close for Warren to say, oh yeah, sure, I'll be VP. I understand that and I totally respect that. And so this is not the end of the conversation, this is the beginning, as I said earlier. But even so, think about it, guys. 21 and 14 is, even if those numbers were very, very roughly right, well, that puts you at number one combined. Now, it doesn't mean that you would get all of those combined, right? It's some of the Warren supporters might go, hey, you know what? Elizabeth Warren is telling me to go with Bernie and she's going to be the VP, but no, not good enough. I'd rather go with someone else. So that's certainly possible. But presumably you would get a lot of her supporters, the overwhelming majority of her supporters. And that makes it a very, very compelling case. We must win in 2020. We must win, progressives. And so if you combine Sanders and Warren's support, that makes it formidable. It could be a knockout punch at some point, and it could be a steamroller. So I don't want people underestimating that. That is massive. So I think at some point there's going to come a time when they should join forces. So I think it's appropriate to begin that conversation today, and let's see where it goes. But guys, the idea that if those guys combine are blown away Biden and the rest of the field, and that means the progressive is going to be president, that is super compelling. So, okay, let's see what we got, but super compelling, and a progressive must win. Do not take any chances with it. So that's part of my point here. All right, let's see where it goes. And by the way, like I said, last thing, again, don't underestimate Biden. Just because We know he's clownish. We know he's Republican light. Most of the voters still don't know that. Don't underestimate also the corporate media's protection racket. They don't tell people about that, including the bankruptcy bill and so many others. So let's get in the fight here, and let's make sure progressives win. And this would be a huge part of making sure that progressives win.